Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 31 of Big Brother All Stars. This is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Hope y'all had a fantastic Friday evening, Saturday morning. Uh, Busy day yesterday. We had a competition, we had nominations, so let's get right into it. First of all, as I mentioned, as a bit of a refresher, they did have the newest twist, which was the Big Brother basement. They competed in that yesterday morning, afternoon. And we do have some results. There were three secret powers that were out there. And this competition involved a completely dark room. I remember that from last season. It was a dark forest I had to maneuver through to get back into the house on day one. Similar situation. This is inside a room. Apparently, they competed maybe in different rounds, but a lot of people in each round together, feeling around, finding shapes of some sort that they then had to fit into a podium. And if they got the right shape, then they would win one of the three secret powers. So the secret powers that we know about so far, one power was won by Danny. It allows her to let HOH play the very next week. Normally you can't play, but this would allow the HOH to play the very next week, whether it's her or someone else. Apparently, she has to make that decision by, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock on Thursdays, whether or not she's going to let the HOH compete in that particular competition. That's the first power, won by Danny. Second power, won by Christmas. This one allows her to block herself from being renominated. If a veto is won, if someone comes off the block, they try to put Danny up, she can say, no, stop it right here, I'm blocking it. Or if she wins veto, she can then prevent someone else from being nominated. She can kind of apply that power to someone else instead. So it's kind of an interesting competition. Third power, I don't know what the third power is. It's unknown. I would guess based on one affecting HOH competition, one affecting veto. The third power probably has something to do with the nominations themselves. Maybe it could have something to do with votes. You get an extra vote or you get to block someone's vote, something like that. But I'm guessing it may have something to do with nominations. So we'll find out. There's been some suspicion we'll talk about who may or may not have the power, that final mystery power. So we'll talk about that. So those are the three powers that were won this morning or yesterday morning. We also had nominations yesterday. No big surprise there. Christmas went ahead and put Bailey and Davon on the block, and we'll talk about repercussions tonight. A lot of people trying to mend fences, fact checking. The key word, it seems like this season so far, is fact checking. So we'll talk about a little bit of that as well. Get into some of the conversations. First of all, from a little bit earlier today, but it's worth pointing out, Memphis was talking about that he hurt his back, if you remember. Memphis is saying, hey, if I get picked in this veto competition, I can't play. I'm injured. There's no way I'm playing. I need to take a break. I just need to rest and let it heal up. So I don't want to get picked, and I hope I don't get picked by just a chip being drawn. All right, I get it. But you know what? Last season, I did a veto competition catching those sheep, chasing them around. I did that with a torn calf muscle. You do whatever you get. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Well, a couple of times for these people, but never turned down a competition if I had a chance. But Memphis, he's been in a lot of pain, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I would have still competed. All right, so anyway, he says he can't compete. Another conversation. This is in the comic room. Davon, Kevin, and David. Thought this was interesting. David looked up at one point and said, Kaiser said it. He said we were next. And a day later looked up to the camera and said, Kaiser, you were right. You were right. We all knew he was right. I just wish some people in the house had listened as well. But there are now people realizing that Kaiser kind of knew what was going on to a large degree. Too little, too late, but there you go. Davon also in that same room, about the same time, tells Kevin that she told Christmas that she felt safe that Christmas wouldn't put her up on the block because Davon never called out Christmas's name. She never called her out for the head-to-head competition in the HOH on Thursday night. So she thought that showed good faith towards Christmas. Christmas would return it by not putting Davon on the block. Well, as she was to find out just a little bit later in the day, not so much Davon. She got put up anyway. But there you go. So that occurred before the nominations occurred. We go to feeds and come back. And so now we're getting in a little bit more of the overnight feeds. First conversation in the HOH room, Christmas is talking to Bailey. Bailey's saying, why were we picked? Why, and why Davon and I together? And why were we picked by someone that we were working with you? Christmas, why would you have picked us? And Christmas says, well, we weren't really working together. And it made sense since y'all are such a power duo. It makes sense to put a power duo up together. Uh, Christmas is saying that no one knew who she was nominating. Wrong. There's several people that knew, but she says no one knew. This was strictly me. I just made my decision all by myself, and that was it. Uh, Bailey is trying to guilt Christmas about the whole decision, saying, Christmas, I thought we were friends, and you just kind of backstab me here. God, come on, Christmas is horrible. But Christmas maintains again, y'all were a power duo. It is what it is. It's not personal. It's just a game, but I had to put y'all up against each other. And now we weren't really working as closely together as you may think. So we had that. Another conversation after she leaves, Davon comes in with Christmas again, the HOH room. Davon's questioning. She's saying, "All right, I get it. You're saying we're a duo, but why are you saying that Bailey and I are the top duo as opposed to someone else? You know, there's other duos in this house, right?" And Christmas says, "No, I know there's other duos, but I haven't confirmed just how tight they are yet. And y'all told me, y'all said that y'all were super tight. The others, I can't confirm that necessarily." Yeah, she knows, but all right, I get it. Christmas also is saying that she just didn't really feel like she was in a loop with Bailey and Davon. That every once in a while they talk, but not really kept in the loop, which she felt needed to be done. Davon is saying, "Christmas, you were untouchable. We were going to make sure that you're safe the whole time through. But at least thanks for not backdooring it." So Davon's trying to be nice to Christmas and everything, but he's a little perturbed, as we can imagine. All right, so another conversation. This is in the have-not room. Danny and Bailey talking to each other. All right, these two who were supposedly going after each other, now they're in the same room talking. So I was anticipating this conversation. They're comparing notes with regards to their arguing and this supposed Bailey's going after Danny. Danny's going after Bailey. Danny's saying that Bailey gets upset. Oh, Danny is saying, "Hey, Tyler told me that you get upset, that you spewed stuff during their season." Bailey's kind of taking back some. Great, okay, I'm happy he told you that. And, Bailey is saying that Tyler, and this was interesting, a little bit about pre-gaming. Bailey says that Tyler was trying to pre-game with Bailey by having Angela reach out to Swaggy. So having the partners of the two reach out to each other to try to set up some pre-gaming. So they're seeing some connections here before the game. Both of them, by the end of the conversation, are realizing or thinking that Tyler really is to blame for putting them against each other. That he planted the seeds and got it all the work in progress for them to go after each other. So Tyler's getting some stuff exposed. There's a lot of conversations about Tyler this evening. So let's see where that goes on down the road. Another conversation. This is in the comic room between Bailey and Davon. Davon's complaining that she's now on the block because Bailey said that Davon was their untouchable. And it made him seem like this power duo that Christmas, supposedly that's the reason that Christmas picked him. She says, just because of that, Christmas put us up. Meanwhile, we've got banners, we got physical shit, we got all the stuff that you can see, and Christmas ignored that and put us up instead. And it wants to claim that we're bigger threat. So they're really not buying what Christmas is trying to sell. Davon is saying that the way that Tyler was coming to us about Danny, they now know that he was going to Danny about us the same way, setting the two up, and that he was trying to backdoor Bailey. Bailey says that Danny never mentioned that Cody was behind it. They're putting all the blame on Tyler right here. Bailey also is saying that Davon is saying there's a lot of stuff, Bailey, that you just don't need to hear right now, that Tyler was saying about you. Bailey is saying, I figured those conversations were a trap with Tyler, and she's upset. She thinks that he used some of her issues from their season and miscarriage, things like that, as a way to kind of create a trap. So she's very upset at Tyler. But Davon is saying, Bailey, you've got to just carry on like you don't know what's going on. You've got to play dumb, and Bailey hates that. But she says you can't expose all this right now. Just play dumb at this point. Davon is saying that she thinks that maybe the reason that Tyler's got it in for Bailey, she says that she thinks that Tyler had a crush on Bailey, but she chose Swaggy instead, and maybe he has something against her because of that. They want to try to convince Christmas to put Tyler up against whoever's left on the block if one of them was to win the veto and come off the block. Now, the final thing during that conversation, Davon is saying that some of the info that she actually got from Kaiser, she's blaming it on Tyler when she talked to Danny. So they're trying to shift some blame on Tyler during this conversation. Another conversation in the key room, Ian and Memphis are talking. Both of them are saying that they don't really care if they go home early. They just came for their paycheck. I'm Team Ian, but you know what? With that kind of attitude, I hope you get your wish. I hope both of y'all do. You play 100% while you're in that house. You don't play for a paycheck. Ian also is saying that he's happy to be the first person in the jury house and just watch Netflix. All right, Ian, if that's what you want, go for it. I'm still Team Ian, but I don't need that kind of behavior. I kind of had to. All right, just personal message from Cliff. In the comic room, Bailey, Davon, and Enzo. Davon asked Enzo, said, "Hey, did Christmas tell you who she was putting up?" He said, "Nah, it didn't tell me. I didn't have a clue. She said she had a plan, but she wouldn't tell me what it was." He then proceeds to leave. Davon is saying that Christmas felt out of the loop, as we talked about before. And then she points towards Cody's room and says, "I wonder what loop Christmas was in," pointing towards where Cody is. Davon is telling Bailey that Danny confirmed that Tyler wanted to backdoor Bailey and that Bailey is the only person that Tyler wanted out. I don't think that's really true. I don't remember that conversation. I'm not sure if Danny spun it that way or not, but I don't know that Tyler considered Bailey his only and primary target. But there you go. Another conversation. This is in the key room between Cody and Memphis. Cody is saying Ian's responsible for so much of this because he was running around, he was talking, he's doing too much, he needs to go. So Ian's name's been thrown out a little bit as well. HOH room, Christmas and Nicole and Danny are talking. They're saying, "Man, Kevin is acting too aggressive. There's something going on with that guy." They're pretty certain that he won the third power. They don't. Obviously, Christmas knows that she won her power. Danny knows that she won hers. I don't think they shared that information with each other, but they all think that Kevin must have won a power just because of the way they're acting. Christmas during this meeting does mention, she says, "Man, as soon as we get to 6 people, these guys have to go. We got to get them out as soon as we get to 6. They may need to do it before that, but there you go." All right, another conversation in the HOH room. Ian and Christmas are talking. Ian mentions, now this, I thought this was very interesting. Ian mentions, "Hey, there was a long pause after you made your nominations." He thinks it's because they were waiting to see if someone used this mystery third power, that maybe they had the option to change it or something. We don't know, but very interesting point to consider. All right, another conversation in Have Not room, Davon and Kevin. Davon saying, "Don't avoid me, Kevin." He's saying, "Nah, it's not you, it's Bailey. I think she's kind of upset because she thinks that I knew that y'all were going on the block and I didn't tell her." While that's going on, Bailey comes in while Kevin's talking about how he kissed up to Cody as soon as he was nominated. He says, "Hey, Bailey, you need to." And she said, "Nah, I don't have to do anything." And so she kind of shuts that down real quick. Bailey's not doing well. She spent most of the day in bed right up until the nominations. Davon says she's not going to go. This is interesting. Davon tells Kevin she's not going to pick him for veto unless he's willing to throw it. Kevin says, "Hey, if I win, I'm going to take you off. Why wouldn't you want me to win?" And she says, "Well, I know that you and Christmas are close, and I figured that you wouldn't want to mess that up." He says, if you're not willing to throw it, I've got a plan B in place, but she won't tell him what it is. Hey, I'm not sure. It sounds like she may not trust Kevin necessarily to pull her off if he wins a competition. Could be something else. HOH room, Bailey and Christmas are talking again. Bailey got upset because Christmas kind of backed away when Bailey sat on the bed. Bailey says, "Christmas, don't ever back away or run away from me again." Christmas says, "I'm just trying to give you your space." But Bailey's a little out of sorts right now. Bailey is telling Christmas that Tyler had said that Danny wanted him to take out Bailey and Davon out for her. So she's basically telling the same stuff to Christmas that they'd already discussed. A couple of quick conversations in the photo room. David's talking to the cameras, saying his main targets, if he gets a chance, are Danny and Cody. Good, you're looking forward. And Memphis. So he still has his little vendetta against Memphis. Final conversation. This was a long conversation. I'm just summarizing a little bit. In fact, it's still going on right as we went to film this. In the kitchen, Cody and Danny are talking. Danny says she heard there was a group meeting during which Cody said he'd go along with the backdoor Danny. He was fine with that. He's denying it, saying, "I never said that. There's no way." Danny also tells Cody about her power, so she spilled the beans to him on that. And finally, she's throwing Tyler under the bus. She's saying, "Hey, Tyler's been setting Danny up against Bailey and against each other the whole time," or saying, "Hey, Tyler's been setting me up against Bailey and Davon and setting them up against me. It's all Tyler's fault." So there you have it, guys. Quick wrap up. See y'all in 24 hours, which will be Sunday morning. Y'all have a great Saturday. Cheers, guys.